And joining me now is retired Admiral James Stavridis, former NATO Supreme Allied Commander. Admiral, it's always good to talk with you. I think for a lot of people who may be having flashbacks to the Iraq War era, including myself, please explain what a limited strike with this kind of ammunition, what kind of damage might it do? What are we looking at here in terms of how damaging these strikes might be?
Yeah, can we just back up for 1 second and say why we're doing this? Because it makes enormous sense on the part of the Biden administration. Over a period, as Courtney just told us, of about 3 months, we've had missiles launched at our ships and commercial shipping. We've had drone attacks. We've had small boat attacks. We have warned these Houthi rebels, Houthi pirates, again and again and again, and they have simply not responded. And Joy, we can't just sit back and be defensive here and allow these Iranian-backed rebels to simply break 15% of the global shipping chain. That'll increase costs for all of us in every single way. It shatters the confidence and the consensus in global shipping. So that's what's happening here. So the administration correctly has decided to launch a series of strikes. 3 important things to note. Number one, it's U.S. plus coalition partners. Certainly the United Kingdom, I suspect others have been involved at some level in this, because this is a global problem, not just a U.S. versus Iran problem. So coalition strikes. Number two, these strikes are going to go, exactly as Courtney said, against the physical means by which these Houthi rebels have trained, equipped, and organized their forces. That means go after their missile sites, go after their ammunition storage, go after their fuel storage, go after their overall capability. And here's good news: that can be done without huge loss of life. Makes a lot of sense. And third and finally, Joy, these strikes are a signal not just to Houthi rebels in Yemen, it's a signal to Tehran. And let's hope Tehran is listening, because we really don't want this to expand beyond the situation we're facing right now.
That is what I want to talk with you more about, is the relationship between the Houthis and Iran. So please don't go anywhere, Admiral Stavridis. Just stay right there, because I do want to bring in very quickly NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez. As he promised he would do, he is waving his hands, because he does have some updated information, and that would be in the form of a statement from the White House. Please take over, Dave.
Hi there, Joy.
Gabe,
yes, that statement came just a few seconds ago, and I'm going to read from it as we look at it for the first time. President Biden saying that today, at my discretion, U.S. military forces, together with the United Kingdom and with support from Australia, Bahrain, Canada, and the Netherlands, successfully conducted strikes against a number of targets in Yemen used by Houthi rebels. He goes on to say that these strikes are in direct response to unprecedented Houthi attacks against international maritime vessels in the Red Sea, including the use of anti-ship ballistic missiles for the first time in history. The president says that these attacks have endangered U.S. personnel, civilian mariners, and our partners, and jeopardized trade. And he also goes on to say that the response of the international community to these reckless attacks has been united and resolute. The statement is longer, Joy. We're still going through it. But again, this is significant, Joy, because over the last several weeks, the U.S. has really talked about that international coalition to stop the Houthi attacks in the Red Sea. And it appears this strike was backed not just by the U.S. and the U.K., but also Bahrain, Canada, and the Netherlands, part of that international coalition to crack down on these Houthi rebels. But again, we're getting that reaction from the president. And I should point out, Joy, we are also hearing from the Houthi Media Authority. If I can find this statement. Here we go. There's a Houthi Media Authority just put out a statement saying, quote, a brutal aggression against our country for which the Americans will pay absolutely and without hesitation. So certainly some indication that this conflict could escalate. But again, we're hearing from the White House for the first time confirming that these airstrikes were undertaken inside Yemen.
Gabe Gutierrez, thank you very much. The offer still stands. Please come back if you get any additional information and updates. Thank you. Much appreciated. To come back to Admiral Stavridis, Australia, Bahrain, Netherlands, and Canada. The significance of that being the group of people, the group of countries that have joined with the U.S.
Yeah, it's only the beginning. There are at least a dozen nations in total who have signed on to this operation. It's called Operation Prosperity Guardian, meaning we're going to keep these shipping lanes open. This is very pragmatic. This is not some ideological campaign against Houthis. This is about keeping these shipping lanes open and not allowing these forces to simply strike at our warships and, above all, our commercial shipping. And number two, as you just heard, it's about the coalition. Gabe correctly listed 5 or 6 countries. There are more who are joining this coalition. I think you're going to see more of this. And frankly, it's warranted. We have warned the Houthis. We've been defensive for months. It's about time we took this campaign ashore. Final thought, we faced something similar, Joy, about 10 years ago. You may kind of recall Somali pirates off the coast of East Africa. The movie Captain Phillips.
Yes.
This is a much more sophisticated and dangerous version of that. It required 10 years ago that we go ashore. This is that step, and I'm very happy to see the administration take this point. No one wants violence. No one wants war.
Yeah.
But this is the right response to what we have been observing.
I know you said final thought, but I want to keep you for just one more question, because I want to take advantage of your knowledge of the region, just to explain, to give context for those of you who are watching, to understand who the Houthis are. What is their relationship to Iran? And also, please explain a little bit of the context of how this is related to the October 7 attack in Israel and Israel's response in Gaza. Because my understanding of it is the Houthis, they were in a civil war inside of Yemen. I believe there's a ceasefire temporarily in that civil war inside Yemen between the Houthis and governmental forces. But the Houthis began this in response to Israel's response to the Hamas attack. No? And so what is the relation there, and what is Iran's relationship to them?
Yeah, Joy, you've described it perfectly. What is going on in Yemen is a civil war that has gone on for years, with Iran backing one set of protagonists and the Arab nations, Saudi Arabia, UAE, backing the other. And you're showing Yemen, it's down there at that corner. What people ought to recognize is where that corner sits in terms of shipping. Again, 15% of the world's shipping passes right by Yemen. And so there's been this ongoing civil war. You're correct. There had been a ceasefire. And as a result of the October 7th attack and the Israeli counterattack, Iran has encouraged these Houthis to go after shipping. And not to confuse people, but it's Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthis. What do they have in common other than they all begin with an H? They all are part of the Iranian proxies in the region. So really what you're seeing is part of that larger conflict between Israel and Iran playing out, and thus dangerous times. And we all ought to worry about this expanding. Again, the administration has moved very judiciously, very carefully here, but made the right move to try and shut this down.
I always appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, retired Admiral James Stavridis. You are so knowledgeable, and you helped us to learn more and become more knowledgeable about this region. So thank you. Thank you for your time tonight. Much appreciated.